歡迎大家收睇第5集 HSBC Live Live Well Series。咁今日我哋會講返點樣可以增強全身個靈活度。咁今日個 theme 咧係講返點樣可以調節好自己個心態。好啦，我哋即刻開始啦。Downward facing dog, find your distance with your plank and then you push your bum up to the sky. So today I've actually only got 4 exercises, but we're going to keep looping them to create this flow. In this position, your downward facing dog, remember you can always bend your knees if you need to, or if you've got more length, you push your heels down and you bring your heels to the floor as you pull your tailbone to the sky. Then from here, we're going to come into what's called a 3-legged dog by lifting your left foot off the ground as high as you can go while you keep your hips square. Then from here, you're going to point your left toes, draw your knee in towards your chest as you slowly roll forward into a plank to quietly step your left foot in between the hands. If you haven't got space there, you can always come onto your fingertips or you can always drop your knee down earlier, okay? So from here, we're going to drop the back knee down and transition into a hamstring stretch by gently pulling our hips back, maintaining square hips throughout. You've come as far as you can. Your leg does not have to straighten, but if you have space, feel free to straighten. Keep the sole of the foot flat on the ground, and then after one breath, then we pull up into toes pointing up. You sink deeper into the hamstring stretch, and then we're gonna move forward, coming back into that low lunge base. From your low lunge base, we're adding a slight twist to get into the outer hips. I'm gonna lift my left hand up, turn my left toes out, from there. So now you can see my body's preparing to turn to the left-hand side. I'm gonna press through my right hand, lifting up so my back leg is straight, and then I'm gonna roll over onto the outside of my right foot. In this position, I'm pressing nice and tall through my right arm, but I'm gonna try and drop my hips down as low as I can go to get a nice outer hip stretch on both sides of my body. Then from here, tricky part comes. We're gonna place the hand back down. This time my foot is gonna slowly come forward, and you see how I transition this way. I'm gonna slowly come down into what's called a Cossack Lunge or a side lunge. So if this does not work for you, you got tight ankles or anything else, don't feel pressure to keep your heel down, but the idea is one day you want to maybe get to here unassisted. If you can't, you keep your hands down. You can lean forward as much as you need to, or you can maybe just stay here or maybe even a little higher. It doesn't matter again, so long as you're actually moving. It is a great exercise for you to start feeling your hips open up, your hamstrings, your groin. From here, we're gonna transition to the other side. So level 1, if you feel not quite stable here, put your hands down. I want you to come up this way. Okay, you transition this way. Level 2, if you wanna go further, you come from here, you keep this foot down onto the floor, and then you're gonna push through your left foot to stay low as you transition to the other side, and then lift up the toes. So now you're gonna start to see as we flow through exercises, there's a lot of it where we reverse the sequences to get your brain firing at the same time. Then from here, we're gonna slowly come into this position where I'm gonna twist into my lunge. I transition the other way, I drop my hips down, then I come back up, knee down, come into my hamstring stretch with my toes up. So I'm gonna go further, plant my foot down, and then from there, I'm gonna place my hands down, come back into my 3-legged dog with my right leg up this time. Then I put my foot back down. So I'm now facing the other side of my mat. I have to find my way back to the start. So this time, once again, we're gonna start off. Right leg comes up to the sky, bring the knee into the chest, quietly step through, and then from here we're going to drop that knee down. Back knee on the floor, push the hips back, sole of the foot stays onto the floor, then once again, pull the toes up. As you come forward, we're going to turn the foot out towards the right hand side, come into our twisted stretch, drop the hips low, hands back down, turn the other way into your Cossack Lunge. I'm gonna slowly increase the pace. We're only gonna go for one more round today. As you're in this position, choose your option. transition to the other side. And then from there, we go straight down into our twisted lunge. Come back into low lunge, hamstring, toes point up, toes point down, hands down, step back, three-legged dog. The slower you move, the harder you make it, but then you also realize that the more you can move with a controlled tempo, the more you start to feel your body move in the areas where they should be moving from. So from here, we're gonna do one full circle, going through left side up, step all the way through, knee down, hamstring, toes down, toes up. Come forward, twisted lunge, point the toe out, come onto the outside of the foot, sink the hips down. From there, Cossack Lunge, slowly transition over. Go to the other side. Once again, you're in your Cossack, then you come back in, twisted lunge. Drop the hips down, come back in, kneeling lunge, hamstring, put the toe back down, step back, three-legged dog. We finish it off by coming back to our starting position, kick that leg back up, increasing space throughout every single round. You feel your body open up, drop the knee down, hips back, toes up, come into your twisted lunge, come back into your Cossack Lunge, drop. Then from there we go to the other side, transition, come into your twisted lunge, hands down, twist onto the other side, feel your body open up in directions that maybe you're not quite familiar with yet. And then from here, we come down into kneeling lunge, toes up, toes down, and then from there, finish off three-legged dog and downward facing dog. So to bring it all to a close, you'll notice that your heart rate has maybe jumped up a little bit the more you start to move. They are full body movements. Movements maybe you're not familiar with. I think a lot of the time we're very linear with how we move. So when we start going into diagonals, in your mind, just picture yourself as the most elegant dancer possible. And then maybe one day, your body is gonna slowly catch up to that and you will feel incredible. So again, that just links back up to choosing your attitude. I do choose to be a dreamer. I do choose to, maybe think that one day I might be in the circus where I can start juggling for a career. Not really, but it's nice to set myself challenges like that. We drop our knees down, keep the toes together, and then just sit back into a child's pose to bring your heart rate back down. As your forehead is on the mat, you lengthen your arms forward. You can move your hips side to side, see what feels great for your body, and then you just relax. So as mentioned, it's all about choosing your attitude. It's easy to see something and think, yep, no, that looks too difficult for me, I'm not gonna bother. Or you can look at it from a different light and see the same thing and be like, yeah, that looks pretty difficult, I'm gonna give it a try. And there's never a right or wrong, but when you look at the themes that we go across the series, every single thing ultimately comes back to a mindset. And your attitude is gonna reflect the mindset. And your actions are then gonna reflect off of your attitude and your choices. So when we look at it from big picture, we might see things in individual portions or individual variables, but that kind of just reflects how we see our lives in general and our well-being. And that's why when we talk about this holistic well-being, we look at everything as separate entities, but really we should be looking at everything as a whole. I don't know about you, but when you do these movements, when you start to flow through with twists, with turns, with transitions that maybe, you go from a downward dog to your twisted lunge, into your Cossack Lunge. That's one of my favorite things to do because I feel like my body moves like fluid. It moves like a water. It moves like, I meant to say moves like a fluid and then moves like water, but I mixed it up. But ultimately, again, it's just about finding that flow. It's about finding the connection between it all. And then it's just about being in the moment. And quite frankly, if I weren't focusing on the moves, if I weren't focusing specifically on what I'm doing right now, I would quite easily mess up the sequence. I would quite easily forget what the next move is. But because I'm so focused on actually feeling, on recognizing what I just stretched, where I was, where I'm gonna go to, I bring myself back into every single stretch at the time. It isn't always for everyone to begin with. But I do believe that when you change the way that you see things, you can, again, see things as the glass is half full rather than half empty. We might be looking at the same picture, but there are so many different lenses that we can look through. And that from there is gonna dictate how you take actions in your life. So from there, as we bring it back into a breath, you stay in your child's pose. You let your head fall heavy. You let your eyes fall heavy. You let your elbows fall heavy. Every single joint, segment by segment, vertebrae by vertebrae. You let your eyelids relax. You let your fingers relax. You even let your fingernails relax. Whatever that means to you, you let go of any tension. When you bring these ideas of figuring out what sensation is what, this brings you back to being into the present. And this in itself is a form of meditation, which will quieten the mind, quieten the body, and slowly bring yourself to a peaceful state. As you take one more deep breath in, fill the belly up with air. And you take one more deep breath out and let it all out. And from there, slowly wiggling the fingers, wiggling your toes, and gently come back out of that. So thank you guys for watching today's episode of the HSBC Live Live Well series. So as you can see today, we went through a full body flow. You can see that a lot of the exercises have moved quite swiftly from one to the next. Now you can always choose how slow you want to move throughout it. You can choose whether it's assisted or not. You can choose to progress if you want as well. And ultimately you can see there, the key word that I used was choose, because ultimately that links back to choosing your attitude. I know that I will always choose an optimistic attitude. I like to be happy. I think there's no, being unhappy doesn't really serve me because it just brings my day down. But that's not always the case. And I know that my golden rule is if I'm having a bad day, I'm not gonna hide away from it and I'm not gonna pretend like everything is okay, because it's real to have everything feel like it's turning around and turning against you. But if you give yourself 10, 20, 30 minutes to just feel sorry for yourself, everything sucks and everything is against you, give yourself the 30 minutes and really think that that's what's happening. But after that 30 minutes is up, or however long it takes you, as long as it's not the whole day, then that's it. You can go on from there. You can choose to be happy again. And then from there, you look outside, maybe the sun is shining. That's what I like to do. The sun makes me happy and I'm gonna get outside, go for a walk. And then from there, the bad stuff is behind me and then I move forward. But if you can think about it that way, you can choose your attitude, and no matter what it is that you're doing, you can choose to be positive, you can choose to be proactive, you can choose to be reactive. Everything that you do is a choice. So I'm gonna leave you with that. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you for our next episode where we will be going back in towards individual body parts, where we'll actually be looking at our neck and shoulders again, but we're gonna be progressing exercises now to show you how you can actually take things forward. 咁多謝大家收睇今日嘅 HSBC Live Live Well Series。我希望你喺屋企，如果得閒嘅話咧，可以練得多啲。咁下次見啦，拜拜。